Microbubbles are tiny little bubbles that are sometimes expelled out of the pump. If the microbubbles are just in sporadic bursts, there's nothing to worry about. But if the microbubbles are a constant stream, which start to discolour the water of the aquarium, then make sure that you refer to the Max Microbubble Diagnostic on the website. If you're having a problem with microbubbles in your Max, the first thing you need to do is to determine the cause. The best place to start is one at a time take apart the various segments of the filtration system and put it back together again.
To do this, turn off the protein skimmer via the external control panel and allow the aquarium to continue running for about 15 minutes to allow the filtration to acclimatise to the new conditions. If the bubbles persist, the problem could be due to one of the following: air trapped in the coarse sponge filter or the carbon media. When inserting the coarse filter foam, expel any air trapped inside it by compressing it underwater with your hands. Repeat the operation a few times until no more air bubbles are released. The bubbles might also be coming from the carbon media. It's normal for new carbon media to release a lot of air bubbles. This will disappear naturally after a few days. Microbubbles can also be produced when there is insufficient water flow through the filtration chamber, as the water being removed from the chamber by the power heads is quicker than the water entering through the inlet comb. When the waterline drops below the power head inlets, air can be sucked into the water and enter the aquarium as tiny bubbles. The easiest way to identify this is to look or feel the depth of water passing over the partition that separates the skimmer compartment from the heater compartment. If this is less than about 1 centimetre, or if you can hear the water gushing over it like a waterfall, then the water is not entering the filtration chamber quick enough. To remedy this, push the inlet comb shutter down to the fully open position and clean the fine white sponge filter. This tends to get clogged up after a few days of operation, especially when there's a lot of waste passing through the filter. We recommend that you clean and remove the fine sponge every other day, or as often as is necessary. Rinse it in either RO or salt water. Earlier models of the Max featured a large block of coarse sponge filter, which tended to clog up with dirt quite quickly. Later models featured an updated sponge filter, made from more porous material, smaller in size, with an angled surface on the input side. If you have the original sponge filter, you can easily modify it by cutting it into a smaller block of about 10 centimeters or 4 inches in vertical height. It also often helps to halve the amount of activated carbon, once again to decrease the amount of water flow restrictions. So if you are getting the microbubbles, quite often the water's just not getting through that media. So taking the media out and putting the media back in again in a way that the water can pass through the media will really help. Cutting the sponge in half will often help. Halving the amount of carbon will also help, just to really let the water move through that chamber so it's not restricted and allowing the water to build up pressure and suck in those microbubbles.